This is a recording that I recently did with Paladin. I was a bit nervous because I've never actually recorded Paladin before. Now, there was an incident that I'm not really authorized to fully explain, but I'm only mentioning it because it's referenced in this recording, and that it has to do with something that occurred with Comrade Luna. Now, Comrade Luna is a lumpen proletarian who actually works in the medical field. Yes, lumpen proletarians do work. The thing is that what makes a lumpen proletarian is that you're a proletarian that's disenfranchised severely. And, Comrade Luna is a lumpen proletarian who has employment issues, education issues, and was working recently in hospice. So while I can't give you quite the details, I did, however, get the opportunity to speak to Paladin. PSFM has several people that are throughout the libraries and throughout the medical field. And the goal is, in order to take the civil society, the lumpen proletarians must be in control of that. Now, there's different variations of lumpen proletarian. There's anywhere from working in day labor to homelessness. And one of the reasons why the Demarchist view is as it is that while there are definitely Marxists, for instance, who recognize the importance of the lumpen proletarian, that is not enshrined in all tendencies of Marxism, but all tendencies of Demarchism do recognize this. And with no further ado, I bring you the conversation that I had recently with Paladin. This is Comrade Net talking to my friend from the broader PSFM network, Paladin, and he's going to talk to us about why he wants to be helping out the community through, how would we call this?
Through the medical practices. Yes.
What is it that you want to do, and what do you think holds back this field?
What do I want to do? I guess in an essence, be a practitioner of the medicine, not only for everyone, but more especially for rural class. People who require more medical attention.
Yeah.
What I think is holding it back is the financial aspect of the healthcare system, as well as the less diverse community of it. We're starting to see a lot more racists, a lot more different type of people coming in the medical field, but it's still very limited on a sense that it's more focused on the more upper class, I would say, but that's another issue to discuss. If anything, though, the main issue that's holding us back is really our financial aspect, I would say.
Do you think the profit motive has held back the medical field and the science community?
I think so as well. I believe that if we have more of a social view on things, if we start to see more of a community aspect and less of a competitive aspect, we'll see a lot more advancement, not only in the medical field, but other aspects in our life.
Do you remember why Comrade number 3 had a special liking for you on that? Because you fit what we discussed, that word cosmopolitanality. You fit a lot of that description. You have this amazing capacity to care about the tendency for other, even in sharp disagreements, like as we've witnessed. We've had our debates. Like, a lot of people don't often understand how different divisive our arguments with Demarchists that we do, that we're not like all single-minded. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you remember? Do you remember like the conversations we had about the like we did with Comrade number 3 about the echo problem, with the environment and everything, where this was going? This was like one of the things we had. Do you remember?
It's been a while, but I do remember some aspects of it. I think really the main thing that we want to focus upon with that was focusing more on renewable energy and managing our resources.
Yes.
Because we only have a finite amount of resources.
Yeah, and we want to get to clean energy, but how right now? Like we've talked to 3 about that too. Like, how are we going to do that right now when everything's still being run on gas? They haven't changed that for us.
It's going to be a difficult process. We've been using, non-renewable resources for the past 200 years or so. So it's going to be a time process, really. The problem is we don't have a lot of time as well. We need to act upon things real quick.
Well, okay, so I guess my next thing would be is like, do you think that it's good that we have the real question that we're asking about, like, as we do ask these questions, are we ready to start questioning the way that we're dealing with nursing homes and places like hospice and stuff like that? And like, for instance, what recently happened and occurred with Comrade Luna in that field.
It's definitely a difficult issue to talk about because there's a lot of factors that play onto it. Management, the need for employment for many people, and then the training and the certifications you'll need to work in that kind of environment. It takes a special individual, especially to work on, some fields, especially like memory care. You have to be very patient and very understanding of the person's limitations.
Well, okay, like, I mean, given what we know, what happened with the recent situation, with Comrade Luna and all that, do you believe we were talking? We both, you and I, were talking about this and our concerns about how women have to deal with this, like, with the way it's understaffed, and they should have people with the credentials that can restrain, that have the credentials, and they can do that safely, because like these factors are like what, like we were talking about this, like what were your
we
words?
were talking about it, and what we want to get across is that we need to have proper employment and proper training for these individuals.
Yeah.
There should be some extra employees, especially if they're dealing with patients that's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Have the equipment just in case and ready, and just be having a good management to help communicate things. Because it also comes down to management as well. If it's not going good up there, how's it going to go good down there?
Yeah. And that's one of the big things that has always been within the theory of this civil society we have, is like we need to really put our power to this more than the state, like our actual, what we actually can find participation is. Do you think though that it's hard to pursue anything as a med tech or anything? Do you think that people who want to be basically, I would say, healers? Because you know me, I come from the clerical, a lot of times religious point of view. I like to say healers, like people who want that field of medicine. Do you think that there's something holding you guys back in college, or like the way that
I think for a lot of people, I think we want a universal education for everyone. So at the very least, I believe we should at least have community college free for everyone. Universities can have a profit and all that, but community college should be free for people.
Yeah.
As for the medical field, that's the other thing as well. Most states have regulations on what a medical personnel can do. So it's hard to have this kind of work environment when there's no like universal factor on things.
So this gets into another thing with the cosmopolitan view. This is if we were to take socialism seriously, we know that we already agree. Really, this comes down to what was water, healthcare, education, medical coverage.
Yeah.
And getting rid of
getting rid of a lot of the competitive in the market.
Yeah, and tear down the sharpest divisions that are causing division in society, that are around racial, colonial, class space.
Yeah, try to amend our past in a sense.
Yeah. All right, so Paladin, I'm glad that we spoke. And do you have any advice to people who are in the medical field, or and to people dealing with, who have friends that are possibly going through the same thing with the turnover rate in a lot of the
thing that I'm trying to learn and continue on learning is just to be more empathetic and compassionate to these to the people who are suffering. A lot of times that we are very ignorant, or we try to ignore the fact that they're in a worst state of their life, really. Either they're at their deathbed or they're cursing at life because of their limitations. So we need to be understanding of their circumstances and continue to be compassionate and be an upright person no matter what. And if anything, that's just what healthcare is. It's not about profits or gain. It's about caring for others. So we need to continue practicing on that, and not only in our field but in our everyday life.
Right on. So that was cool. Shout out to Grandma Gypsy. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Hail, comrade.